He leads us all the way, playing proper football, the Sheffield United way. Ale, ale, ale. Ale, ale, ale. Ale, ale, ale.
Hello and welcome to the Sheffield United Way. My name is Hal. It's a three-way. Nick, myself and the other one all here live to preview the Steel City Derby. I don't like it. Sheffield United versus Sheffield Wednesday. Let's bring everyone else in.
Hi Hal, how are you doing?
We all right? It's been a while since we've done this.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? I feel sick, and it's not just because I've had to listen to your intro, Hal. So, you know, there's other things going on right now, and I do not want to think about the game against Wednesday. Help.
I absolutely hear you. I can also hear Louis, Nick's son. Nick, let's, before we get into this, quickly look back at Bristol City.
Yeah, it's not hard, is it? Because it was last night, and what a fantastic end to the game. I'm not going to talk too much about it because I did a whole match reaction on it last night. But what I'll quickly say is just it wasn't a classic. We weren't at our free-flowing best, but wow, what a finish. And what a finish by Harrison Burrows as well. Just all the commotion that happened in the away end, him running up, big hug to that one supporter that was down there already. Seeing all the videos, Ryan One getting pushed into getting the clap off the Blades fans. Oh my God, what an evening. I wish I was there. I really do. But yeah, unfortunately, it wasn't to be. It's a bit far away, isn't it? It really is. So the Blades absolutely commended for going all the way to Bristol to enjoy that, and they absolutely deserved it. What about you, Ollie? What did you think to the game?
Yeah, I mean, it's just madness, isn't it? Those limbs that you got in that away end. I've never had FOMO like it because I'm sat there watching and I'm thinking, I had to endure all of them last season. I don't get to do this one. That does not feel fair. But no, massive credit to all the fans that went down because it is much too far for a Tuesday night for me. I have to admit, if I'd been at work this morning after doing that, it would have been a disaster, but it just looked incredible. I thought, actually, to be honest, United, it wasn't our best performance, but that last 15 minutes really gives you that confidence and the momentum that comes out of that. It's another win. It means that I know other teams have got a game in hand. I know that this isn't a real stat, but once again, we would be top of the league on merit. And that just shows the level we've been at. And I loved everything about last night because that ending is just why you come and watch football.
Ollie, how many more times are we going to say about the -2? If it wasn't for the -2, we'd be here. We're going to keep saying this all season because I've probably said it in every game this season.
Yeah, of course we are. That's the rule is you get to cheat, have your points deducted, and then you get to go. But if we've not had those points deducted, that I don't make the rules. You know, I don't make them. Everton made them. I'm just copying.
-2. What are you going to do? What we're going to do is talk Blades team news. And actually, based on that Bristol City game, we have got an injury concern that I think we should probably talk about before we get to our predicted lineup. So, Kiefer Moore, I mean, it doesn't look great. It will be interesting to see what happens there. We haven't heard officially how long he's going to be out for, if indeed he is going to be out, but I think we all imagine that he is going to be. Suter as well, I think we saw a little bit of an injury there, but he carried on. So again, we'll have to see how he is. Oliver Arblaster is still, we spoke about it before, the man to watch for suspensions, but we know he's going to make it now for this game against Sheffield Wednesday, and that is good news. Whether he starts or not, I would expect him to, but you know, whilst did tinker with that 11, and I think, as we've already heard from Ollie and Nick, it wasn't perhaps the most free-flowing performance from United. I think we need some of those bodies to come back in that were rested at Ashton Gate. But One, I mean, there might even be calls for Ryan One to start this game, which I think might be a bit premature. But Ollie, you're kind of nodding your head. I mean, what do you think?
I mean, the trouble is that he's the only physical presence that would match anything like Kiefer Moore. That's the difficulty, is that he is massive. And you don't realise how big he is, particularly for his age. And that makes such a difference. That's what we lose when Kiefer Moore goes off. The difference, we saw it yesterday, the difference when Campbell's playing at centre forward on his own. I like Tyrese Campbell. Obviously, he's been in a bit of good form. We know he can get amongst the goals. But he's not got that same big target man presence that Kiefer Moore offers. The closest to offering that is Ryan One. Now, do you throw somebody in at his age for their first start in a Sheffield derby? Probably not. That's probably asking way too much of the lad.
Two words, David Brooks.
And Wilder was the one who did it. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's the answer. Maybe you've answered the question.
You throw a youngster in. That team, actually, that we had at that game, which I know, Ollie, you'll talk about in a bit more detail later, that on paper, we were a bit concerned going in because it was a lot of players we didn't really know that well. Sometimes that can actually work for you. Players with something to prove. You know, Ryan One is massive, although if you want a bit of a giggle, Google his height. It is incorrect. It says he's 5'8". Great height for a man. But he's more like Gary Barlow's son. Big lad. And let us know in the comments what you expect for this one. Tyrese Campbell, One, what do you think? Nick, what do you expect for this game?
We're talking the full team here.
Go on, give us your team.
Okay. So I would go, which I think is our best side. Obviously, Adam Davis, Cooper in goal.
By the way, just a quick one on Cooper. How close did he get to saving that PK?
But why did he stand very slightly left of centre?
You know why he did that?
Offering that side to dive.
Offering that side up, yeah.
Yeah, but I'm going the other way. If I'm taking that penalty, I know what he's doing, and I'm going that way. So I don't know why.
If you're taking a penalty against Michael Cooper in a championship game, something's gone hugely wrong. But yeah, I know what you're saying. Anyway, carry on.
If I'm taking the penalty against Michael Cooper and Sheffield United, that's probably a good thing.
No, it's all gone. Okay, fair enough.
Right, so let's go for my lineup. So I'm going Cooper in goal, Gilchrist, Suter, Anel. I'm going to let somebody else go.
Because Louis wants to get involved. He's shouting. He knows exactly who he wants at that left side, and it's your wife.
I think he was definitely shouting. He was definitely shouting Harrison Burrows because that's naturally who goes in left back. No question. 2 goals in his last 2 games. He's obviously the player that you want. Playing down that side, undisputed first choice. That's the defense. And I think everybody would agree. If everybody's fit and if Suter is ready to play on Sunday, no questions, that's what it's got to be. Midfield, Vinny and Arblaster. You go back to that first choice. Arblaster's had a little bit of a rest, made a difference when he came on. I thought last night, obviously, fantastic pass to set up that winning goal in the last minute. So those two have to continue through the middle. Raksake has proved himself. Once again, Andre Brooks played last night. He's not doing himself any favours at the minute. He's really struggling for form, and it's coincided with Raksake looking a world beater all of a sudden. He seems to really be able to push past those fullbacks. He's having everybody on strings, really, ever since that breakout performance against Luton. So Raksake's got to be in there. Hamer, our best player, for me, has to start. He's got to be in the team.
But where? Because there's a lot of people clamouring now and saying O'Hare is taking up Gus's best position.
Yeah, I'm thinking back to the Stoke game, and I actually thought that was O'Hare's best performance for a little while. I thought it was the time where he's looked most fresh, he's made the biggest impact, and actually been able to get involved in the game. So I'm playing O'Hare on the left and Hamer in the middle. I think that's the way that we need to play. I think it will get the best out of both players, and it gives Hamer more opportunity to control the play, more opportunity to drop into midfield when we need him. Form a 3-man. We know that Wednesday really try and get a lot of athleticism through their midfield. They're really going to try and pack that. I expect them to play 4 in a diamond through the centre. So I really think we'll need that extra body in there. I think that Harmer is more likely to drop in and feel natural there than O'Hare is, but also I think O'Hare's more likely to give us a little bit more on the break than Harmer does. I think Harmer's better bursting from deep and coming up behind after O'Hare's controlled it, the way that we saw against Hull. I think we saw similar against QPR as well at Bramall Lane earlier this season. I think that's got to be how we want to play this. The question mark, we've already covered it, is at centre forward. Who plays at centre forward? I think you probably have to go with a little bit more experience, play Tyrese Campbell. If I'm being honest, I had convinced myself. So I have spent 5 years at this stage complaining that Ryan Bruce has never quite hit the heights. We've been waiting for his breakout moment. We've been waiting for him to be there. And I had fully convinced myself that this Sunday was the day. And of course, he's injured. So I think it's probably going to be Tyrese Campbell. And then One maybe to try and have an impact off the bench, similar to last night. Where do you disagree with me, Hal? What are you picking? Who are you going for at centre forward?
You can still sign free transfers. I would bring Leon Clark in. I think this This game's tailor-made for him. Actually, I completely agree with you. I think Campbell does start this game. I think One will be brought on as an impact sub. And I think something should be said as well about that header. I saw a few comments on social media about that was a bit of a fluke. I think he guided that header into that almost the top corner, the only place the keeper couldn't reach. It was a really great leap and a really well-directed header. And I think we've not really seen enough to know, but from the glimpses we've seen, and he's already played against, as we've seen in the comments, Wendy in the under-21s, he clearly he has got quite a lot about him. He's got that pace to burst away, from defenders. So he offers that. He's got the strength and he's got that leap. He's good in the air. He's getting his shots away as well in some of the... Look at some of the goals. And by the way, remember I did a video on him, and it's not my opinion on that video. It's Hamilton fans who've watched a lot more of him, and they've already said these things. So I really don't think we've got a lot to lose by maybe giving him from the 60th minute. And, Wilder likes to make subs at set times, and 60 and 75 are kind of his moments. And I think that we will see One, no matter what the score is, at one of those two times. Nick, thoughts, brackets, feelings?
Yeah, you've got 3 yeses there, Ollie. Yeah, I'm all for. That's exactly what I would have said. Even though O'Hare's not exactly playing to what we expected him. When I saw him at Rotherham in pre-season, I know it's Rotherham, I know it's pre-season, but I was so excited by him. And he's flattered to deceive in a lot of games, to be honest. There's a lot of stats that back him up, especially early on in the season, saying that he's offering more than what the eye test gives you. I'm just not... I think when Moore and O'Hare players like the two plays right at the top of the pitch, it gives us no pace whatsoever. And obviously at home in this game, we're going to be getting a lot more players forward. It's nice to see. I'm expecting to see Raksaki back in there, causing them all sorts of problems. Hopefully, it's going to be Max Lowe that he's going to be running at. But we'll have to wait and see. Yeah, like Ollie says, I'd love to see Gus in that middle, but I'm kind of expecting him to push Gus out left for some reason again.
I think so.
I hope not. I hope
I think
not.
You're right. I think he will do that.
And I don't even mind if Ryan One does start, in all honesty, because it seems like he's got that raw talent that he's not fazed by anything. Even at one point when I can't remember who it was running through, he just kind of took the ball off him and just tried to run through a defender. And it's like, that's what we want to see. We don't want to see someone who's scared to take a player on. And you know what? Callum O'Hare does look scared to take a player on in that final third. So, yeah, maybe we need someone with a bit of rawness about them.
Yeah. What do you think? Let us know in the comments. Ollie, take us away.
So we're going into our opposition team news now, but before we get into the opposition view, I'd like to give a huge thank you to Panenka Bar and Grill. They are our pre- and post-match bar. And if you are looking for somewhere to meet your friends, to prep for this game, to really start to feel the hype and get yourself ready for our kickoff, Panenka is the perfect place to go and to whet your appetite. They've got all the live games, and for this one, we'll just have that right hype music going for you to be able to get ready to go in to Bramall Lane. You'll find Panenka at the entrance to New Era Square, and it is just minutes away. It is an easy walk to get to the game, and they're the perfect place to be. So do go out and check Panenka Bar and Grill before the game on Sunday. And now I will be handing over because we have got a fantastic contributor enlightening us on all things Sheffield Wednesday. This is James from Wednesday Till I Die.
It's the game that we've all been looking forward to. Obviously, there hasn't been one for a while, which makes it even bigger. And yeah, at the moment, excited, really looking forward to it. I've been looking forward to it since the start of the season, to be perfectly honest. Over the years, it felt like this game was never going to come. But yeah, it's here. And yeah, talk to me on Sunday morning, and I'm sure those excitement levels will have disappeared and replaced by nerves. And yeah, fast forward to me being sat in that away end at Bramall Lane, and I'm sure I'll be absolutely bricking it. But, at the moment, excitement levels are high. I mean, in terms of the actual game itself, obviously the last three have ended up as 0-0 draws or 0-0 wins, if you want to put it that way, as you like to call them. But yeah, it's going to be it's never going to be a spectacle. It's always going to be a cagey affair, and I don't think Sunday's going to be any different, to be honest. I feel like, if we try and take the game to you, that might be a bit of a bad move, whereas if we just try and keep it tight and frustrate Sheffield United, I think that'll be probably the best way to go about things, and yeah, might have a bit more success in doing that. Whether Danny Röhl chooses to do that, not too sure, although in recent games he has been willing to give up possession. Maybe just set here, see what you can do. Look, the longer the game's 0-0, the more it's going to play into our hands. If it's 0-0 come 60, 70 minutes, then perhaps have a go in those final 20-25 minutes or so, try and get a winner. But yeah, easier said than done. And there's no denying that we're underdogs going into this game. You've got the biggest squad. You were in the Premier League, of course, last season, albeit not doing pretty well. But in terms of the squad, it's head and shoulders above ours. But that's that all goes out the window when it's a derby game, and it can be shocks and surprises. So, in terms of players to watch, I'm not going to sit here and say Barry Bannan. You all know what he can do, and he's still doing it for us on a regular basis. The person I'm going to pick out is Shea Charles, head and shoulders the best player at Sheffield Wednesday at the moment. Signed him on loan from Southampton. Southampton signed him for £10 million from Manchester City, and you can see why he costs that much, because he's a fantastic player. Plays in that defensive midfielder role, normally alongside Barry Bannan, and allows Baz to do what he needs to do and be that creative outlet. He's combative, likes to tackle, probably get yellow carded if I'm being perfectly honest on Sunday, but he's just so calm on the ball, so cool, calm and collected, and he's one that really, really stands out. Not really going to score as many goals. He did score against Coventry earlier on this season, but he's more there for the dirty stuff and not afraid to pick the ball up from the keeper and do things that way. In terms of a score prediction, I'm going to give you two. I'm going to go with my head and my heart. I can't come on here and say that you're going to beat us. My heart is saying that it's going to be a 2-0 win. We'll nick a goal and then it'll be back to the wall stuff, and then we'll catch on the counter and make it 2-0. My head, if I take my blue tinted glasses off, he's saying it's going to be another draw. I don't want it to be another 0-0. If it's a 1-1, if we can celebrate a goal, that's great. Whether that's to take the lead or whether that's to equalise, I don't really care. But if I'm being realistic, I'd probably say a 1-1 draw.
There we go, boys.
Interesting.
So what do we think of what he's just said?
I think a few things. First of all, is what a horrible shirt. I just think that needs to be said. It really is. When you see it that close as well, it's really awful. But thank you, James. I can't actually say the name of his podcast without being sick. But thank you for that.
It's the first time we've ever seen a Wednesday shirt on this channel as well.
It's disgusting.
Yeah.
He originally sent me a video of himself in the car with his, I'm assuming, work stuff on. And then he sent me that, and I'm like, gonna have to use this, aren't I? Probably didn't have to. Anyway.
Yeah, that was, honestly, just hearing him talk, especially when they started. Oh, I'm really excited. Excited? Oh, God. I can't. It's Wednesday. We play on Sunday, and I genuinely feel sick when I'm talking about it. I just can't get into that excited about this. I hate these games, and I do not feel good about it at all.
Do you know what? I don't feel as sick as I used to, and I think that's because I don't work in an office in Sheffield anymore. So, like, when I used to work at a place that doesn't exist anymore called In Training in the bottom of Prince of Wales Road, and it was half Wednesday, half United. And we played Wednesday a lot of times in that time, and we both won games and stuff. It was horrible going into work and just getting absolutely rinsed by Wednesday fans. I work in Wakefield now. It's not going to feel the same. But also, you're not going to get rinsed, but also you can't be the rinsers, which I do like to be.
It's better, the rinsey. It's really important, I think, all players, we just keep our powder dry, particularly on social media. Let them do all the talking, and then afterwards, if we've won, absolutely go crazy. That is the point of a rivalry. Have a bit of fun with it. Keep it, kind, but go crazy. Now, we've been to lots of Derby games, all of us. Let's now look at some Derby Day memories. Ollie, where are you taking us?
So I'm starting with the obvious one. I'm going big and I'm going first. Sheffield Wednesday 2, Sheffield United 4. Bouncing Day, the greatest day. And what else could be my best Derby Day memory if I'm not going for that one? The most special of days in terms of this recent history of Sheffield United and what we've been able to do so far. It was the first derby that had been being played in over 5 years. 5 years before that had been an absolute shocker. And so we were ready to really come back and have a go at Wednesday and try and re-establish ourselves as the top dogs in the city. We were the upstarts coming out of the pub league. We were just passion merchants who'd got 100 points, but didn't really matter because it was all just about passion. And so we turned up to Hillsborough and the Wednesday squad walked out to take the cheers and Wilder said, no, United, stay back. And United waited just a minute before we came out and we took all the boos and we felt all of the atmosphere that was coming out of Hillsborough because Wilder wanted the players to feel that. And we know exactly why, because within 4 minutes, United were ahead. John Fleck scoring a fantastic free kick, drilled into the bottom corner. And then United just continued with that. We continued the momentum. We were so good for the first 30, 45 minutes of this game. Leon Clark put us 2-0 up. Sprung the offside trap. I don't know what their defenders were doing, but it didn't matter because all that mattered was that it was 2-0 and we were cruising. And then they pulled one back. Gary Hooper scored right on the stroke of half time. Undeserved. It was probably their first kick, but it felt like that was the turning point. The second half, they brought Lucas João on and it felt as though everything had turned. He equalises on 65 and suddenly from victory, United look to have snatched defeat. I can hear it now. Hillsborough is rocking. The ground beneath my feet is actually shaking for 1 minute and 38 seconds because then the bouncing stops and it stops for a very, very long time. And it is replaced by the roar of the United fans. Mark Duffy has produced a moment of absolute magic. He is twisting this way and that way. Oh, what a finish. What a goal. 3-2 United. And that was Hillsborough done. From that moment on, they really were just dead and buried from that game. A shout out to Juice Van Arken for his attempted defending to try and stop Mark Duffy at that point. Leon Clark put the cherry on the icing, made it 4-2. And, well, we've not looked back in terms of this game since. Only boring 0-0 since. But that... I mean, I've got goosebumps now. Never mind how I felt at the time. Incredible. The best Derby Day.
Wow. How do we top that?
I'm not going to do my game as much justice as that, but my game wasn't as exciting as that. One thing that I will say that you've missed out there, Ollie, which I thought you were just going to touch on, is when the Wednesday players were walking out and Coots, he just dead-eyeing them. They were all dead-eyeing him, though, weren't they? It just felt like we won in the tunnel.
You knew. It was so good. Every moment. Wilder had us perfectly prepped for that one. And it was... Oh, wow. Take me back. Take me back, guys.
That was different. It was a team versus a bunch of individuals. Nick, where are you taking us?
I'm taking us to April Fool's Day in 2001 for a 2-1 win at Hillsborough. This match was the 100th league meeting between the two clubs. And especially for me, it was extremely memorable. And that was the reason for that was because I was, believe it or not, a 14-year-old mascot at Hillsborough for that game. It was fantastic. We won the game. Obviously, I'll go through the game in a second. But because I was 14 years old, I am 6'2" right now. I was probably about 6'1" when I was 14 years old. So standing next to Keith Curl, him trying to take my hand and walking me out, I'm like, no, Keith. I'm practically the same height as you. I've told this story about 30 times on this channel, but I'll tell it one more time. Anyway, as I walked towards the away end to go and take my seat, I got booed by all the Wednesday fans as I walked down there. I wouldn't like it any other way these days, but obviously when you're a 14-year-old kid, it's a little bit nerve-wracking. So the fact that the Blades did me justice that day and won the game 2-1 was just fantastic. But yeah, it was the it was the 51st minute where Simon Tracy pumps the ball long. Carlos Arba backs into his man. And do you know what? I said on this very channel, Carlos Arba is as strong as an ox. He weren't having any of it then, but he was in this moment. He backs into his man. He pushes him away. He lays it back to the main man, Laurent Dejafo, and he side foots it into the back of the net, just past the despairing Kevin Pressman. And it's nice to see Kevin Pressman not saving a shot against a red and white shirt. Then in the 71st minute, Paul Devlin delivers a cross just a little bit too much behind Carlos Arba, but he gets that header right into that bottom corner. There's no margin for error because it's going so slow into that bottom corner. He angles his head, he angles his neck and flicks it right into that bottom corner. Pressman nowhere to be seen. Unfortunately, Wednesday managed to spoil the party very, very slightly in the 76th minute with a scrappy consolation goal from Gerald Sibon. The game finished 2-1. No, I can't do it. Can't do it. It was an absolute Dennis Bergkamp-esque finish from Gerald Sibon. Flicks it past Sean Murphy and a beautiful shot with his left foot. I don't know if he's right-footed or left-footed, but certainly that was one finish that you're not going to see again from that bloke. And the fact that he scored very little goals for Wednesday just shows that, yeah, maybe he didn't do that too much in his career. Also, that day, Alan Quinn and Lee Bromby were both on the opposition side. And, they obviously would end up playing for the Blades and winning a lot of games for us too.
Nice one, Nick. Yeah, good memories. That a man kissed me. I was similar age to you, Nick, and this bloke next to me, must have been about 50 years older than me. Just grabbed my face and kissed me at full time, and I remember that very vividly because as a child, that's quite a strange thing to happen. And also, it was my dad and I used to do every game home and away back then, and it really, it just took me such an amazing day. It was I bought the VHS of that. I used to have friends come around and support either team or even like football. I was like, we're watching this again. Lost a lot of friends around that time. I'm picking a 3-1, but I kind of call it 4-0 because their one was scored by Alan Quinn, and he's a Blade. So in 2003, we came from a goal down, and it was Alan Quinn that actually scored. I remember Wednesday made the breakthrough against the run of play, and how often do we say that with Wednesday? They scored against the run of play, and that was just 90 seconds into the second half. Kevin Pressman, again, top form. He always was against United, but 2 goals in the space of 4 minutes turned the game United's way. First, Kabadabadoo, Steve Cabba levelled it on 62, and then on 65, a stunning 20-yard volley by, oh Lord, Michael Brown. It flew into the net, giving Pressman absolutely no chance. I think it might have even been Derek Geary who was at fault there. I can't remember exactly what happened in the build-up. Wayne Allison made the point safe with 12 minutes to go, firing home from close range after a superb run and a superb cross from when he was in form. Wasn't he great? Cabba. Our team that day, Kenny, Jags, Murphy, Page, Quinn, Brown, McCall, Tongue, Undlove, Windass and Cabba. That Quinn must have been Wayne Quinn. I guess he was back on loan from probably from Newcastle or West Ham. I can't remember. But that game, a really good goal from Brown, which I think all of us kind of remember as one of the best. And on the Wednesday team was, as I mentioned, Derek Geary, Alan Quinn, and not Bromby. So anyway, not quite involved in that one for some reason. So that's my memories of that one. We are going to turn our attention to the referee for this one, who is Lewis Smith, and he's already refereed this so far. He's already refereed Wednesday as well, but so far this season he's taken charge of 16 matches in the league, 54 yellows, which is quite high, 3 reds, but they were all second yellows, and he's given 6 penalties. He refereed our 2-0 defeat at Ellen Road, and he was in charge of Sheffield Wednesday's 4-0 win against Plymouth Argyle. So from there, we go to Player Connections, and this is brought to you by Parrot Peel. Parrot Peel is a virtual band, and many of their members are Blades. Check out parrotpeel.com. Their latest album really is good. I listen to it on Spotify quite regularly. It's called Tall Tales of 10 Girls. And we always pick 4 players, 4 played for both. So while I'm on a roll, I'll carry on. John Paul McGovern, who some of you will remember, some of you won't. He was a winger, and he previously played for Celtic, I think maybe more fondly remembered at Hillsborough. Owen Morrison, who started at Wednesday, then came to United. I never really knew what his best position was. I'll just call him a forward. And I actually thought he was pretty skillful and a decent player, but maybe there was more that we could have seen from him and never fully turned it on. I've picked another one that I just knew no one else was going to pick. Tommy Johnson, who definitely more fondly remembered at Hillsborough, but on loan at United and played like once. Neil Warnock had always liked him from his Notts County days. And Danny Bath, who, again, not many people are going to think of him, but did play.
Did he play for us at all? Did he?
Yeah, he was on loan. He definitely
game?
played. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, Ollie remembers it. Ollie remembers it like it was yesterday, don't you, Ollie?
Yeah, he definitely did play at least once for us. Don't think he played much more than that, but he played at least once. More than Diego Di Girolamo played for Bristol City.
Yeah, I mean, Danny Bath did play once for us. He played a lot more for Wednesday, and he was on loan at both. Anyway, that's my picks, and they're the slightly unusual ones because I like to do it like that. Ollie?
Yeah, I mean, I'm terrible at this game. Player Connections does not work for me because I can never remember anybody who's played for two teams, but I'm actually not bad at this one. We've got Alan Quinn. He's already been talked about quite a lot. I think he might be the only player to have scored for both teams in a derby. Maybe we'll come back to that, but I think that's the case. We've got a managerial link, Danny Wilson, who obviously spent quite a lot of time with Wednesday before having one season with United that, I don't like thinking about it. It's not his fault. He did nothing wrong. I just don't like thinking about it. There's one currently at Wednesday. I know their fans have recently started calling him Neymar, which is an interesting nickname, remembering what we saw of Marvin Johnson. He was not quite Neymar-esque when he played for us. And then the ultimate for me, one of my favourite players growing up. I absolutely love the man, Derek Guire. I saw him a few seasons ago. I think it was Matlock in a pre-season game and stood with him for the entire game. He's a great lad, a really good laugh. And love you, Del.
And a great height for a man. Nick?
I think he's even smaller than you, Hal.
He's a great height for a man. Nick?
Another one that we've not mentioned, or we have mentioned earlier on, but just not in this section, Max Lowe. Again, hoping that he's going to be playing at left back in this game. Another former manager link in Steve Bruce. Famously, Brucey take him off. And was considerably slimmer when he was the Sheffield United manager compared with when he was the Wednesday manager. We've also got my main man, Didsey, of course. He's a bloke who's just started at my work that looks exactly the same as Didsey. And I just need to chat to him just to make sure it's not Didsey. Gary Medine, obviously, I wasn't a massive Gary Medine fan when he came, but he seemed to become an icon. A bit of a legend in that small period that we played for him, and everyone expected us to keep bringing him back every January. Bring him back, get him back on loan. Obviously, Lee Bromby, we've already spoken about. Massive long throw. And Mr. Purple Patch himself, Leon Clark, who's obviously, has he scored against United for Wednesday?
Well, this is why I paused and said we might come back to it. I don't think he ever did. I think he only scored for United. I don't think he scored for Wednesday in one.
The only time I remember hearing or seeing Leon Clark score for Wednesday is when he scored when they got relegated.
Broke his toe.
Kicks the advertising board and broke his toe. Luckily, he learnt from his mistakes. And
I'm not sure. I tend not to remember Wednesday scorers, so I ain't got a clue.
Callum is telling me that Leon did score at some point for Wednesday. So there we have
United,
it.
Though, yeah?
Yes,
it has to be against United.
I don't think he scored a goal for Wednesday. That counts. No, I assume he meant against United.
We'll have to have a look at that afterwards. Anyway, let's move on to score predictions. And if you'd like your score predictions shared here and to receive a whole host of other benefits, as well as support us, head to patreon.com/Chef United Way. It really does help us to continue to do what we do.
Yeah, so Patreons, what do they know? Do they know things? Let's find out. Ray says, Blades 2, that lot nil. Can't even bring himself to say the name, and he says that'll be another 2-0 win for the Blades. Of course, that's been slightly interrupted by a 2-1 win. Ollie, what's next?
It's a really tricky one. James, he's torn. He wasn't sure where he was going with this one. He wasn't sure if it was 1-0, wasn't sure if it was going to be 1-1. He's gone out on a limb. He said that we'll win 1-0, but he's clearly not quite sure about it. He's not committed. So next time, James, commit yourself. Believe in it.
1-1. 1-1, James Cheatham. Wash your mouth out. As if we're not going for a win at home against Wednesday. You've got to go for it as a Blade. Anyway, Steve says the same. Steve says, a tight 1-0 win for me. The 4-2 result was an outlier as far as Chris Wilder managed derbies go, as the other 3 contests ended in goalless draws. I fancy us nicking it thanks to a goal from Kiefer Moore. Steve might be right, but I'm not sure he's going to be right about the goal scorer.
Yeah. We'll have to wait and see with Kiefer Moore. Ant has gone 2-1 United.
Yeah, Ewan agrees. He's also reckoning 2-1 to United.
Jono says, I'll go 2-0 Blades. Think we will break them down eventually and score a second late on.
Okay. I mean, I want it to be relaxed. There's nothing I'd love more. 3-0 at half time. Thank you very much. Fat cigar, second half, come out another 3. But that's probably not going to happen. Paul says 3-0 Blades. There is no such thing as tempting fate. We are a better team. And if we play to our potential, we will beat them. If that doesn't happen, our players have bottled it or Wendy have parked the bus.
Oh, big words, and even bigger words from Adam, the stat man. He has gone 4-0 to United. He thinks the goals are all coming from scapegoats, in his words. A goal for Kiefer Moore, 2 for the Brewdog, and 1 for O'Hare. Obviously, putting a lot of faith in our physio team in terms of getting some of those players ready for the weekend.
Yeah, we'll wait and see with that one. Let's do our own predictions then. I'm going to go, I don't think it's going to be anything like that. 1-0 Blades, KG affair.
You see, I feel absolutely sick about this. I was on Sportsman Untitled the other day talking specifically about this game, and if anybody is interested in hearing me talk more about the Sheffield Derby, please do go and check that out, Sportsman Untitled. But I want on that one, I said 1-0 United. I was certain this is going to be a really cagey game. It's 1 goal to nick it here or there. But I've lost faith in myself, and I've lost faith in my prediction, and my stomach's gone, and I feel sick. And you said something earlier, Hal, that has damaged me beyond comprehension. You said this referee has given out 6 penalties so far this season. Sheffield Wednesday are currently 2 games away from breaking the all-time EFL record of longest run without having a penalty.
Whoa.
And that makes me feel even more sick. I'm saying 1-1.
1-1. Wash your mouth out, Oliver. 1-1. What shirt have you got on?
United shirt.
I'm going to say I don't need a year. I don't think you can tell me
1972, I think.
Well, anyway, I'm going 2-0 Blades. We've won games 2-0 too many times for this not to finish 2-0. So I'm going 2-0. Scorers, Ryan One late on, and a Gus Harmer early goal. That's what I'm going for.
I'd love to see it. Would absolutely love to see it. Let us know, Blades fans, in the comments, as you already are, whenever you're watching this or listening to it. And thank you all for watching or listening. As I mentioned, if you do get this on audio podcast, check out our audio podcast. It's been a special match preview. We're all really nervous. Up the Blades. Thanks, guys.
Ole, ole,